Hey guys, my name's Dave from Guitars Already Hero. Now, if you could only use one guitar to produce, write, and record your music, what would it be? Now, that's the question that the guys at Jamstik have been trying to solve with their latest guitar, the Jamstik Studio. Now, when I'm creating music personally, I'm first and foremost a guitarist. So when it comes to things like playing piano parts or synth parts on a Midi keyboard, I really struggle because I just don't have that skill. Now, I know what I want to put down and I know what I want to create, but the physical aspect usually lets me down. So this is where the Jamstik Studio is a real game changer. It's not only a full-fledged electric guitar, but it functions as a completely capable MIDI controller that registers things like bends, legato, tapping, slides, hammer-ons, and pull-offs. And because of that, it opens up a world of creative possibilities for me personally as a guitarist, because I can then explore synth sounds and key sounds that I would have not have been able to play on a regular keyboard. So in this video, I'll be doing a full review of the Jamstik Studio, which is a really cool piece of gear. I'll be showing you some of the features, how it works, and I'll also demo some of the sounds so you can make up your own mind on how it functions and sounds. So Jamstik have also been kind enough to offer a limited time discount to all Guitars Already Hero viewers as well. So stick around till the end for that. Now, the concept of a MIDI guitar has been around for a while now, and there's definitely been a few solutions out there. The most notable and realistic probably being the Fishman triple play pickup. Now, all the other solutions, Jamstik's previous models included, didn't really provide that realistic guitar experience that you get with tuned strings. Now, the Fishman triple play pickup does allow you to put that pickup on your own guitar. And although I haven't tried it, I've heard pretty solid things about it. But it does end up being a pretty clunky looking setup, and there is some installation required. So this is where Jamstik have tried to innovate by providing a beautiful looking guitar that's capable of MIDI, portable and versatile, that can also switch between single coil and humbuckers, which is pretty cool. So if you're using it like a traditional guitar, there's some versatility there as well. So as I said at the start, they're basically trying to create a guitar that can kind of cover all your tracking and recording needs if you're a producer or a songwriter. So let's talk about the Jamstik Studio as a standalone electric guitar first. So it's a 3/4 body size with 24 frets, weighing a super light 5.5 pounds. And if I had to compare the feel of the neck to another guitar, I'd say it's close to the feel of your sort of typical Ibanez RG type of guitar. As far as electronics go, we've got 2 humbuckers and a coil tap for single coil use by simply pulling the volume knob out like that. Now, unfortunately, there's no tone pot, it's just a volume control. And as far as the quality of the guitar and the playability goes, it's pretty much what you'd expect from an $800 electric guitar. So playability and setup is great out of the box. So no complaints in terms of the guitar as a standalone electric guitar in my experience. Now, the guitar is built by a company called ALP Guitars, and they're generally known for their headless and portable electric guitar designs. Now, although I do like the portability of this headless design, the biggest downside is the tuning functionality of the guitar. Now, in order to tune this guitar, there's a magnetic hex key that you can pull out right here, and it's attached to the bridge. And then you can use that to wind up the strings here. I found this to be a little bit fiddly to use, to the point where I was just basically using my fingers to twist these fine tuners. There's not a whole lot of resistance there, so it can be done just with your fingers. Although it's not super comfortable as it's a bit cramped here, but generally the guitar stays in tune pretty good, so no complaints there, and it's not that big of a hassle. The other thing that I figured out just a couple of days actually is that there's actually a pick holder right here, which is pretty cool. So it's not an amazing feature, but pretty cool to know it's there. So now let's move on to the digital aspect of this guitar, and this is where the guitar really shines and sets itself apart. So if you're using this as a MIDI controller, you have the option of using the USB-C port right here and a USB-C cable, or you can use the inbuilt Bluetooth. It also has a 3.5mm TRS cable here for MIDI out. So that's not an auxiliary out or anything. That's just literally sending MIDI information out in case you want to hook it up to another MIDI device. Now, to keep the latency down, it's best to use the USB-C cable. I found the latency to be pretty low and not really noticeable unless you're doing some blistering fast playing. On the website, Jamstik claims the latency to be on average 10 milliseconds anyway, so it's pretty negligible. But if you're tracking on an iPad, for example, then the Bluetooth functionality is a great feature, and I'll show you that later in this video. Now, where the real magic happens is with this pre-installed hex pickup right here in front of the bridge. And that sends signals to the onboard processors, which then turn that information into MIDI information. So they've really tried their best here to capture all the nuances of guitar playing. So everything from hammer-ons and pull-offs to pitch bends work almost flawlessly. I would say pretty much flawlessly. Having said that though, the end result really will depend on what VST plugins and synths you're using. So if the settings aren't set right, then your bends could sound a little off from what they should be. And thankfully, Jamstik does provide their own free VST, which is great. It's got a whole bunch of presets that sound great for you to start off with, and they're all fine-tuned for maximum compatibility with this guitar. And of course, you can build your own sounds and synths on that VST with the inbuilt oscillators and effects. So anyway, enough talking. I'll now just be running through some of the preset VST sounds to show you how it sounds in real time. So I won't be editing any of the MIDI audio information. What you hear is exactly what's being played back and what I'm hearing. So in a studio setting, of course, once you track the MIDI, then you could clean up anything from wrong notes and any sustain and velocity parameters. So after I show you the VST synth sounds, I'll then also show you how it sounds just as a standalone electric guitar using the analog signal. So as you can see, I've got the 1/4" jack here, and I've also got the USB-C cable plugged in. So you can have them recording simultaneously even if you want. So that's a pretty cool bonus as well. So you can be tracking an analog sound as well as the digital MIDI information. So I'm going to start off with a basic piano preset here, which is called Ambient Piano. Now, if you go into the VST here, you can see a few different options. These two are the ones that I use the most. So pitch bend to turn that on or off, and then expression tracking. So I usually just leave expression tracking on. That's gonna send a whole lot more MIDI information to your digital audio workstation. So it's best to keep that on. Although it's not overly noticeable, there's a lot of nuances to guitar playing that actually picks up in terms of your playing, and that creates an overall better sound that's more realistic. Now for the pitch bend, I'd turn that off for anything that's like a piano, because pianos don't actually bend in pitch. It's very discrete in terms of the notes that they can play. So for a piano, I'd turn pitch bend off, so that way anything you do, any bend to the string is not going to be reflected in the digital audio workstation. So pitch bend is a really important parameter when it comes to using this as a MIDI controller. And I do wish they had put some sort of functionality where you could toggle those two settings on the actual guitar as opposed to only being able to toggle it on the VST. But anyway, let's hear how the piano sounds. So as you can hear, it's also tracking, the velocities. So you can play pretty quietly. And, if you tack the string harder, it's gonna get that information as well. So here in the Jamstik settings, if you click there, you can actually adjust the sensitivity of the strings as well individually. You can turn off Bluetooth, turn it on, and you can also change the MIDI settings to single channel or multi-channel. MPE is the recommended mode to provide the most information, so I've got that set. But as you can hear, everything is reflected so well. It's really quite a seamless experience. And every now and then you will hear some wrong notes and that sort of thing, but that's sort of to be expected with the nature of how this is working, but most of the time, I'd say 95 to 99% of the time, it does a great job tracking. So you might hear those odd notes, here or there, but that's fine because, if you're recording, then you can just take them out after you've tracked that MIDI part. All right, so let's just check out some other presets. Let's have a look at some strings. And it all feels really natural. It feels like I'm just playing a guitar, but the sound that you're getting is just completely different. Let's quickly check out a acoustic guitar VST. So I think they've sampled a real acoustic guitar and just created a VST off it. Actually sounds not bad. So let's listen to a lead. So you can hear how responsive the hammer-ons and pull-offs are. And the vibrato as well. And the bends are pretty much spot on. Now what I've found is that legato hammer-ons are a lot more responsive than legato pull-offs. So if I was to try legato hammer-ons, it'd be really simple and quite responsive. But with the pull-offs, it's a little less responsive. I really need to make a solid effort to pull off in order to make it heard. If I pull off the way I usually would just playing analog guitar, it's not gonna fully come out. It almost does though. So you really need to be very articulate when it comes to pull-offs, but hammer-ons are really simple. And then in terms of tap, you can tap as well, which is really cool. So let's try some tapping. I'm not much of a tapper, so forgive me if this sounds like garbage, but I'll just show you how it can pick that up. But of course, you don't just need to use the Jamstik Studio VST. If you've got your own VST plugins, then you can do that as well. So I'm just going to use, the inbuilt VSTs that are found on Logic Pro. So here's, a saxophone. I'll just turn on the pitch bend. So here's one instance of a patch that I found on Logic that, where the bends don't actually correlate to a bend on a guitar. So I'm only bending a tiny bit and, the pitch of the bend on the VST is, heaps more. The other cool thing is that it does pick up palm mutes quite well. So if I'm palm muting this note, it does register that. So that's how it works through a computer, and I'll now just show you how you can connect it via Bluetooth to your iPad to track MIDI on, a program like GarageBand, for example. First off, you'll need to go in the settings here in GarageBand and connect via Bluetooth. Just make sure your Jamstik's on and that the light is flashing green. And then you'll need to go to Advanced and then Bluetooth MIDI devices. And here you'll see the Jamstik show up, so tap on that and it'll just connect. So once connected, you can just play the Jamstik and it's going to emulate the instrument of your choice. So right now I've got piano, so. And you can just track with the guitar, which is awesome. So finally, I'll show you how it sounds as a standalone electric guitar plugged into an audio interface and using Bias FX2 as the amp simulator software. And let's try to mix up the sound a little bit with the single coil. So I'll just pull the volume knob up to get this coil tap going. And now I'm in single coil mode, so. So overall, I think this is a really impressive piece of studio gear, an all-in-one studio guitar that would really suit producers out there who are guitarists first and foremost. As this is their first iteration of this particular device, there's definitely going to be some room for improvement in terms of the software side of things. I had a few rare instances where the VST crashed on me, and also updating the firmware of the guitar on their website UI. It was a little clunky, but I got there in the end. But overall, it's a really seamless experience when you're playing it, and everything is great when it's working well, like almost flawless. But as I said, I'm pretty sure this software is just out of beta mode, if not still in beta mode. So, they're continually pushing out updates to make it more solid and better each time. So finally, for all Guitar Zero to Hero viewers out there, Jamstik have been kind enough to offer a limited time 10% off the Jamstik Studio. So just head to the link in the description below, enter GZ2H10 for 10% off your Jamstik Plus. If you have any questions about the Jamstik Studio, then leave them in the comments below. I'll try my best to get back to you. It means a lot if you could hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video, and hit subscribe if you want to see more of my videos in the future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.